Well, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Starting at an earlier time. Good, good, good. Well, I'm coming today from three, believe it or not, three different platforms. Ladies and three different platforms, and it's going to be an interesting. I said, let me just blast it today. Um, One which is Instagram. Good evening. How are you? YouTube Live. Good evening. How are you? And on Facebook Live. Good evening. How are you? Um, and the reason why I wanted all the platforms today because uh, a few people have been calling me, asking me questions about what's going on with Brexit and what is happening. So I want to use this today as a teaching moment and just to hear what other persons' views are in regards to what happened today in politics in the UK. Politics in the UK, as far as I'm concerned, has a direct impact upon us, whether it is indirect or direct. Yes, it has an impact. I'd love to hear what you say, and I'd love to have some level of interaction as well. I won't have a guest tonight because of how the setup is, but very interesting. It would be good. But before I go any further, I want to talk about something which was the carnival. You know, I think the last time I went to a carnival was when there was, I think we went with our children, my son actually, and we used to go down to Notting Hill Gate where our church is, and I think it was a good while now. We stopped going to carnival because it was a bit too hectic, you know. But I understand a carnival was great. It was very healthy. It was very positive and great stuff. So I said to myself, listen, I'm not going to post anything negative about carnival, or I saw some bits about police arrested a few persons. I said, if I didn't post anything about the carnival, I'm not going to post anything negative about the carnival, you know. So without a doubt, what I did was posted nothing about the carnival, because if I'm not going to post anything about the carnival, it doesn't make sense that I post anything negative about the carnival. But one thing I understand is that this carnival was a success. It was fantastic. You know, I spent the carnival at my home in the back garden eating ice cream. Yeah. And so it was a good thing and fantastic for those persons who went to the carnival and had a fantabulous time. Yeah. Well, today, all I'm going to be talking about today is about what happened in Parliament today. Well, not even in Parliament, what happened in British politics today. And I had to go and do some of my own sort of research as well, because everything is like a teaching moment. For persons who follow my platform will know that I've been very proactive before the what do you call it, the 2016 referendum. I've been following Brexit for a while. There have been different words which has been going around. You know, first of all, Brexit. You know, where did that word come from? Brexit. Everybody's been talking about Brexit. Brexit is the UK, Britain exiting the European Union. Some have been talking about Frexit or Frexit, which is France exiting the European Union. Many different words have been used for a season in regards to this. And then also we have a situation where now we were talking about the backstop that is with the Ireland borders, and then we've got the withdrawal agreement, you know, and all of these things. People are just going about their business. What is withdrawal agreement? What is Brexit? What is backstop? And all of these things. Then all of a sudden, something came up now called prorogued. You know, prorogued. Prorogue came up now. Everybody's going, what is prorogue? What is happening now? Some people are saying there's a coup. different words which are out there in the media. And I said, this is disgraceful. What is happening with the new prime minister? They're trying to get a no deal through the back door or whatever like that. So I said, let me just sort of break it down a bit. And I'm not going to come from, people know my political allegiance, and people who knows me know where I'm affiliated with. But nevertheless, I'm going to try to use this more as a teaching moment. But before I go any further, someone posted something today which I found very interesting. And some of the books, I'm into network marketing and into inspirational stuff. And one of the books I like is Think and Grow Rich. Yeah. And also, I don't have it with me now, The Law of Success. And someone posted to me saying, it is important to make a quick decision and stick to it. Napoleon Hill, in his book Law of Success, studied 500 self-made millionaires over 20 years. He found 16 things they all did. One of them was to make quick decisions and to stick to the decisions made, right? Make quick decisions and to stick to the decisions made. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again on Instagram, on Facebook, and on YouTube, right? The British people made a decision to leave the European Union or Europe. Well, they can't really leave Europe because we are positioned physically in Europe, but leave the European Union. If Britain wants success, it needs to stick to that decision. Boris said he will get the UK out of Europe, and he's sticking to it. When a leader uses success principles, he will get success. I set that as a template for persons to sort of use that as a base. When a leader uses success principles, he will get success. Is the Prime Minister using success principles? And before I go any further, as it is just now 10 o'clock, about to the launch of, please, if you don't mind, just share this video as well for those on YouTube and Facebook. I actually need to send the YouTube link to a few persons who want to understand what is this. Yeah. So it's and the interesting thing about it is that it's all exciting. It's all getting exciting again, whereby the media is getting into a frenzy, because guess what? They had a period of time when parliamentarian was on holidays. Nothing was really happening. You're talking about Meghan and Prince Harry, Trump. I know the Trump is always in the news. Really, it's a bit boring now, but nothing was really happening. College Green, a place which I used to hang out, now I can't even hang out there because all the main media houses are there now, so you can't get a space now. It's all exciting because it's all Brexit, Brexit, Brexit. Yeah, for those who are fascinated by it, it's all Brexit, right? But now the key word is all prorogue. Prorogue, right? And what is the word prorogue? What is prorogue? Okay, prorogue is, and I'm reading it, yeah, because let's all learn together. Prorogation, pronounced prorogation, marks the end of a parliamentary session. It is a formal name given to the period between the end of a session of parliament and the state opening of parliament that begins the next session. For those who familiarize themselves with parliament, and you see sometimes what happened when all of them standing in a room and Blackwood or this guy comes and said, the Queen summons your presence, and Dennis Skinner is always saying, off with her head, or something like that. You know what I mean? Always make these funny comments. And then they move towards the upper chamber or wherever it is, and then the Queen makes a speech, right? So it is a formal name given to the period between the end of a session of parliament and the state opening of parliament that begins the next session. The end of a session of parliament. The parliament session may also be prorogued before parliament is dissolved, right? And some people have been asking the question, has parliament ever been prorogued before? Has this ever happened before? Because that's one of the questions many people have been asking. They have been saying this is a precedent. Some are saying it's a coup. And I'm going to go down a bit later talking about what is a coup, is this a coup, or whether or not it is a coup. Yeah. Parliament is usually provoked or adjourned before it is dissolved. right? Prorogue or adjourn. Notice the word prorogue, adjourn before it is dissolved. Tradition was again carried out at the most recent dissolution in May 2017. The last dissolution of Parliament was on 3rd of May 2017 to make way for the general election to be held on 8th of June 2017. If you remember that election, that's the one where Theresa May had her majority and she lost most of the majority, and she won, but of course, being held in our government with the DUP, where there was that sweetheart deal which was made, right? And there have been instances in cases where in 15th of September to 10th of October in 2016, 14th of September to 9th of October 2017. And also, what is very interesting, and this bit is good, I found this today when I was doing my research, and if I can find it, there was a period of time whereby Parliament was prorogued in 1948 by the former Prime Minister Attlee, yeah, because he wanted 1945 or 1948, where he wanted to push through a raft of legislations, right? Attlee wanted to push through a raft of legislation. So therefore, this is not something new, ladies and gentlemen. This is not something new, because it said here, since the since the 1911 Act required a delay over 3 sessions, a special session of Parliament was introduced in 1948 with a King's Speech on September the 15th, 1948. Then in October, former Prime Minister Mr. Attlee asked George VI to prorogue Parliament, which was set in motion on October 25. In this way, Mr. Attlee used proroguing to force through his constitutional change that would allow him to pass his nationalization legislation in time. Now, even though he did that, many people are saying that he didn't really have to do it because he had the numbers, he had the majority in the House. I think he had a 145 majority in the House of Commons, so he never really do that. But apparently he wanted to do it a bit quicker or so. So he prorogued Parliament. So when the question has been asked, has this ever been done before? Has there ever been a precedent? Yes, there's been a precedent before when it comes on to proroguing, and there's a lot of what should I say? A lot of evidence out there relating to this. I've been posting a few things on my page so persons can read that. But the spirit behind it, as I always say, in law sometimes, the mischief rule, and I'm going to use that term, the mischief rule. What is the rationale behind it? Many viewers or many punters are thinking the rationale behind it is because Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, made a declaration that October the 31st, Halloween, deal or no deal, we're leaving the European Union. Okay? October the 31st, we're leaving the European Union, deal or no deal. So they're figuring that by him now reducing the amount of time by actually proroguing Parliament, then what happened now is that there'll be less time for debates. And then by default, October 31st will kick in, and then we're gone. Out of the European Union, no deal. Okay? And that is what many people are saying, that it's a coup. I'll come back to dealing what the coup is actually, right? The question is sometimes they say, is this normal? Right? Is it normal? And it says here in an article, government prorogues Parliament pretty frequently. The term simply refers to the process of dissolving, as I said before, one session to make way for another session. The difference, what they're saying, is that is the length of time proposed in this case is abnormal. Now, you've got to remember at this time now that in regards to what is happening with politics, you've got the different factors. You got the Remainers, you got the Brexiters, persons who want to stay in the European Union, whether or not the vote came or not, they're not respecting it. But as far as I'm concerned, they're not respecting it. As far as I'm concerned, the parliamentarians who are fighting against it, not respecting it. As far as I'm concerned, when I think about it sometimes, and I think about with Jeremy Corbyn actually coming together with other opposition party members to try to stop a deal, my view is that it would have been more beneficial if Corbyn and the other party leaders from the other opposition groups would actually come together and formulate an alternative deal as what they think is best. An alternative deal than to be reactionary or whatever like that and trying to stop a no deal. Because my understanding from the prime minister is I want a deal. He said it to Macron and he said it to the Chancellor Merkel. I want a deal. However, if I don't have a deal, then I'm going to go with no deal, right? And then you got Nigel Farage who's on the wing saying, if you guys keep playing around and keep going for extension, you call an election and I'll fight you, right? And it's all go up and down in chaos, really. So therefore, there need to be some level of semblance of order, because as far as I'm concerned, and something I said all the while, I've said it before many times, that if the parliamentary party, if parliamentarians would acknowledge and respect the outcome of the referendum, whether they like it or not, respect the democratic wishes. Democratic wishes doesn't mean to say that everybody accepts it. Democratic wishes doesn't mean to say that after an election you cannot change your mind, but everything is a moment in time and there's a specific time where an election takes place. If someone who's an accountant, they always talk about the accounting figures at this moment in time. When you buy a house, they always talk about the day when the deal was closed, or they say the closing or whatever. There's always a date. I remember there's a date in my head, June the 30th, when we bought a property. June the 30th, always that. When somebody said, how long have you been living on a property? I said, June the 30th, XY year. There's always a date. And based on that date, that is the key thing. So therefore, it is so crucial and important at this time. Now, I'm going to go a bit further now. And many people are asking the question, why did the Prime Minister do this, right? As I said before, parliamentary is normally suspended or prorogued for a short period before a new session begins. It is done by the Queen on the advice of the Prime Minister. Parliamentary session normally lasts a year, but the current one, and this is the key thing, the current one has been going on for more than 2 years, ever since the June 2017 election when Prime Minister May took over. Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Hi, Cathy, how are you? For those who are on online, welcome. Those on Instagram, those on Facebook, and those on YouTube, welcome as well. And I hope I think a lot of people are commenting on my page. I hope they know that I'm on live at present. Yeah. So since Prime Minister May came in, they have been still going on with this particular session, right? And over 2 years. And what the Prime Minister is saying is that we need to shut this down. We need to actually move on to other things. We need to deal with the NHS. We need to deal with HST. We need to deal all whatever the bit regarding the new railway link. Lots of other things that need to go on. It's not just about Brexit. And so when Parliament is prorogued, I'm still getting to the words. You can repeat after me. Prorogued. Need a speech therapist. Prorogue. No debates and votes are held. No debates and votes are held. And that is what making the opposition party, Corbyn and everyone, really peed off, because they're held in a quandary. They want to make some debates. They want to stop the Prime Minister, but they are not able to, because guess what? No debates and votes are held. And most laws that have completed their passage through Parliament die a death. Right? So those who have been laws which have been trying to go through and have not been go will die a death. Bye-bye, Felicia. That's it. Right? But it is different to dissolving Parliament, where all MPs give up their seats to campaign a general election. The last 2 times Parliament was suspended for Queen's Speech, that was not after a general election. The closure lasted for 4 and 13 working days respectively. If this prorogation happens, which is happening, it will see Parliament closed for 23 working days. And remember, Parliament resumes back next week, Tuesday. MPs have to approve recess, but they cannot block the prorogation, right? They cannot block the prorogation. I can come back to another time when I'm going to say something about, can the Queen block it? Can the Queen stop it and all those other things? That's for another day, because what I want to do is try to keep this a bit very short and succinct and straight to the point. Okay, so other people can actually get it when I upload it. Why is it happening? In a letter to MPs today, the Prime Minister points out that and this is what I said before, the current parliamentary session, that is the time since the last prorogation, has been unusually long, and that key Brexit legislation has been held back to ensure it could still be considered for carryover into a second session. These are his stated reasons to justify proroguing Parliament. And let me go to his speech. What is it? Dear colleague, and as you know, as a member of the Conservative Party as well, we get another direct message also from the Prime Minister to members. But for the nation and for the parliamentary party, I hope that you had an enjoyable and productive summer recess with the opportunity for some rest ahead and return of the House. I want to take this opportunity to update you on the government plans for its business in Parliament. As you know, for some time, parliamentary business has been sparse. The current sessions last more than 340 days and need to be brought to a close in almost 400 years. Only the 2010 to 2012 session came close at 250 days. Bills have been introduced, which, while worth in their own rights, have times seem more filling in time, but the Commons and the law, while key Brexit legislation have been held back to ensure it could be considered for carryover into a second session. So what the Prime Minister is saying is that this cannot happen. I therefore intend to bring forward a new, bold, and ambitious domestic legislative agenda for the renewal of our country after Brexit. There will be significant Brexit legislation program to get through, but that should be no excuse for lack of ambition. We will help the NHS fight violent crimes, invest in infrastructure and science, and cut the cost of living. And he said, I spoke to the Majesty, the Queen, this morning, request an end to the current session in the second sitting week in September, before commencing the second session of this Parliament with the Queen's speech on Monday the 14th of October, right? But what he's saying is this: Parliament still, and the media doesn't really want to doesn't share everything really, and I'm sort of breaking down. Parliament will have the opportunity to debate the government's overall program and approach to Brexit in the run-up to the EU Council, and then vote on this on 21st to 22nd of October once we know the outcome of the Council. Should I succeed in agreeing a deal with the EU, Parliament will then have the opportunity to pass the bill required for ratification of the deal ahead of 31st of October, right? So what he's talking about right there, what he's saying is that this is going ahead. You still will have time to debate it, and it is not a coup. And I'll break down what is a coup later. So what are the other party members saying? Well, Labour is saying this is a coup, right? Labour is saying we got to stop this. And as you know, Jeremy Corbyn has been trying to somewhat pull together a coalition of the opposition party members, and to somewhat say, let's get in there and try to stop no deal Brexit. Now, it's very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. What is distinguished here is stop no deal Brexit. So we could be having a level, some sort of progression now, because it is not saying stop Brexit. It is saying stop a no deal Brexit. Take it off the table. The Prime Minister before, Theresa May, made the bad decision on a raft of advice, which was wrong, by taking no deal off the table. Anyone who is into negotiation will definitely want to make sure that they have all options available to them. All right, when I go into a court of law or whatever situation, you don't play all your hands. You have to have something else that you can revert back to, right? And it's so unfair, I believe, and this has placed the Prime Minister, and it did place Theresa May in a very uncomfortable position whereby the EU could walk all over them. And then the EU and then the UK was flabbing, like a animal dying in the water and trying to get some life. So what Boris has done is put no deal back on the table. But that doesn't mean to say that there's going to be a no deal. But the big question again, many people are asking, someone asked, when you voted Brexit or didn't vote Brexit or whatever like that, what did you vote for? Did you vote for a deal or no deal? And know what? Nothing is there on the table. Nothing was there on the piece of paper that says deal or no deal. It was saying remain or leave. Remain or leave. Now, if anybody else saw something else, do tell me. But what it was there was remain or leave. And therefore, people voted to leave and voted to remain. And therefore, the deal will come after. Now, what is also interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and I heard it on LBC today, MPs are now saying, and when the question is put to them, would you wish now for the Theresa May withdrawal and that deal? And many of them are saying they would rather they get that deal because at least it was a deal. I believe personally that there will be a deal. And I believe personally that even if there's no deal, it will still be a deal. And I said it also when I was on BBC, when I was being interviewed, by saying, let's not get too carried away with this whole word no deal. There's always a deal, right? You're going to take some time, but there will be a deal. And as I mentioned before, with when I started with my quote from the Law of Success, and I say this again with Law of Success, it is important to make quick decisions and stick to it, or making a decision and stick to it. Napoleon Hill, Law of Success, studied 500 self-made millionaires over 20 years. He found 16 things they all did. One of them was to make quick decisions and to stick to the decision they made. The British people made a decision to leave the European Union, let me clarify, European Union. And if Britain wants success, it needs to stick to that decision. Because what is happening, ladies and gentlemen, is going around in circles. It's going around in circles. And the latest thing that people are talking about is saying this. We want an extension. And that is just kicking the can down the road. You've got to shut it down at some point. The people vote. And if, and this is it, and if people are saying that we need another people's vote, another referendum, the question you got to ask yourself is this. What level of guarantee that I'll have or we'll have that they'll follow through also with that deal? Or sorry, with the new referendum outcome. What if it is still to leave? So therefore, one has got to follow through with the present outcome of the referendum. Those are my views. What are your views? Good to hear. So I'm not pushing, I'm just talking, I'm just putting our questions there. So what are some of the leaders saying? Well, Labour is saying, Jeremy Corbyn and his team are saying this is wrong and we need this is a coup, this is a coup d'etat, and unfortunately, I mean, Corbyn and McDowell, they are Republicans. They don't subscribe to the Queen, but they have to have that respect because they're still there. The Lib Dem leader, Joe Swinson, said it was the dangerous and unacceptable course of action. He knows the people will not choose a no deal and that elected representative wouldn't allow it. He's trying to stifle their voices, she said. Now, Joe Swinson from the Lib Dem, her position is that we remain. And that has been her formidable position, and that's what she's been saying, remain. So therefore, she has no respect for the outcome of the referendum. And that is something to be noted. Have no respect for the democratic process. Right. The SNP, which is the leader Ian Blackford, accused Mr. Johnson of acting like a dictator, while First Minister of Wales Mark Dribble said he wants to close the doors on democracy. Welsh pro-EU politicians have reacted angrily to the Prime Minister's decision, which could make it difficult for MPs to stop a no-deal Brexit. But let us talk about this thing about the coup now. Anyone knows what is a coup is, okay? What is a coup? And I just want to make sure that I wasn't just speaking of what I know is a coup, but based on what I understand is a coup. But I actually went into some Googling and just put it down there. What is a coup short for? A sudden, decisive act. So it could be a coup then, if it was a sudden, decisive act. Well, it wasn't a sudden, decisive act, really. It was planned. Well, or it is sudden, right? Is 1852 a short coup d'etat? In modern French, the word is a workhorse, describing anything from a pat on the back to a whipping, and is used as well of a thunder gust of wind, gunshot, and chess moves. I like that one, chess moves, right? What does it mean to stage a coup? Now, when you talk about a coup, I was actually thinking of Corbyn when he was saying that he's going to go to the Queen and demand the Queen to make him be the Prime Minister because we're going to put a vote of no confidence, and we're going to, I think they were using word, we're gonna barrage, we're going to go to Buckingham Palace and we're going to say, Queenie, I want to be Prime Minister. And then people, Joe Swinson will say, hang on, we don't want to be Prime Minister. And Ken Clark, they're using as a person who would be like the father of the house, a seasoned conservative, we're very respected, must say, a pro-Remainer. And so they said he would be our best person. So what does it mean to stage a coup? In a coup, it is military, paramilitary, or opposing political faction that deposes the current government and assumes power. Whereas in the pronunciamiento, the military deposes the existing government and installs an ostensibly civilian government. Now that is something which is happening in, I forget which countries, I don't know if it's Somalia or somewhere in Africa, which happened recently. But the key word is here, deposes the existing government and installs an ostensible civilian government. Now, it is not as if it is Corbyn or some other parties trying to depose Boris Johnson, the Conservative Party. So it's not really a coup. And words, and this is the thing we got to be careful of, Words just keep bantering around. Everybody's banter words, a coup. They're shutting down Parliament. No. Parliament still exists, right? It's not a coup. It is not a military. It's not a paramilitary or an opposing political faction that deposes the current government and assumes power. As I said, whereas in the pronunciamiento, the military deposes the existing government and installs an ostensibly civilian government. So let's shut down and mash down that lie right to it. As they say in Jamaica, mash down that lie. It is not a coup, nothing close to a coup. Now, what is a political coup? Coup d'etat, also called coup, the sudden violent overthrow of an existing government by a small group. The chief prerequisite for a coup is control of all or part of the armed forces, the police, and other military elements. Ladies and gentlemen, let's just shut down that line now and let's move away from the whatever is a coup. What is really happening here now is that the Prime Minister is saying, listen, let's just get on with business now. We make a decision. The UK made a decision. In order for us to be successful, for the laws of success, we need to move on. Let's get this done because we're just going to go around in circles. And while I'm not wanting an election, a general election, to happen at this time, but it may be something which would be a beneficial thing to the nation. And I tell you why. Because by doing so, there'll be a massive deselection of many of these persons who are supposed to be parliamentarians, who are supposed to be respecting the wishes of the people. The wishes of the people, and I reiterate, is not about everybody saying they agree to Brexit. It's about the outcome of a democratic act. The Democratic Act was this. The Democratic Act was that they, the people, June the 23rd, correct me if I'm wrong, 2016, went to the polls, and there were two questions before them. One was this: would you like to remain, or would you like to leave the European Union? Some voted to remain, and some voted to leave. 52% voted to leave. 48% voted to remain. A very thin margin, but politics is politics. If I stand in an election somewhere here in Lewisham, and I win or lose by one vote, I win or I lose by the one vote. Simple as that. That's the political process. It's just like in America with the Electoral College. That is the democratic process. That is how it is. I know Acosta, whatever is saying, it is racist. Well, everything is racist these days, right? But that is the democratic process now. If one wants to change that, well, that's another issue or another thing coming. But that is the democratic will at the moment of the people. As I reiterate, the people is a big thing. You got to look at a big ball, if anything, a big thing come together as one, not just individual persons, because person will say, well, that's not my will, right? That's not what I voted for, you know, and so that's very interesting. So it is a very interesting time, ladies and gentlemen, right? And one of the things when I do these discussion is always saying to persons as much as possible, be you got to go through the maze of the media and the different. God, everyone has an agenda. I have an agenda. My agenda is actually to teach. My agenda is actually, I'm a very positive person, very outspoken, very optimistic. And guess what? The news yesterday said this, and you all need to know this. Optimistic person and positive person live longer because they're actually open for things and they see things and they're not cynical. Am I cynical? No. Am I into conspiracy theory? No. But I think with Epstein, I don't think one need a conspiracy theory to know that something happened there. But it could be a conspiracy theory still as well as possible. You know, this is just straightforward politics. This is about business. This is about creating business. I call this is what we call just having business of the day. Nothing, nothing out untoward. It is a precedent which are like this. Why are you so hungry? You have tiny eyes. Somebody said I'm angry. No, I'm not angry. I'm just talking. I'm actually smiling. Maybe it's not me you're talking to. Somebody's commenting on YouTube. So I love to hear your views, as I said, and I kept this very simple, just to set out for persons who are asking me, what is prorogue parliament? What is proroguing of parliament? And if I can just set out a couple more things so persons can sort of take it in their stride. If I can find it, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Where is it? There we go. Fact check. There's a fact check which I posted. I posted something with a fact check, right? And said, and listen, can it be stopped? This is the big one. Can it be stopped? Professor Bubble tells us that MPs cannot stop Parliament being prorogued. But he raised a possible alternative that MPs could try to block the move by legislating, perhaps through a one-line act of Parliament, or by bringing a no-confidence motion to topple the government once Parliament reconvened on 3rd of September. Yep, I mentioned that earlier. Yep, yep. There has been history. There's precedent which has been set. Kunle, thanks for that. Definitely. The Queen has a role in all of this. It is technically up to her to grant the Prime Minister permission to prorogue Parliament in the first place. Is that why she could technically say no? Doing so would be a major breach of her constitutional requirements to remain neutral and take advice of her Prime Minister, right? So the next one now that many people are thinking of, because many people are not talking about it, many different party members are not talking about it. What about a legal challenge? Professor Philip Norton of Hull University, who sits in the House of Lords as a conservative peer, said, in terms of formal process, the correct procedures are being followed because prorogation is a prerogative act of the Crown, and the Queen accepted advice of her ministers as to when to prorogue. It means if there were to be a court battle, Professor Norton says the legal challenge may be to seek judicial review of the Prime Minister's advice. So the advice now would come from the Attorney General. What was that advice the Attorney General gave? Chakrabarti, who is I forget what her name is, she is the shadow Attorney General. She gave her advice as well. So Labour, yes, Shami has reportedly said, advisor party leader that the courts might well even allow Parliament to continue sitting while a case was moving through the courts, right? So it is very interesting days, and I think what I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do some little 5-minute videos on what is Brexit, 5-minute videos on what is prorogation, 5-minute videos on the backstop, 5-minute videos, because a lot of people are asking questions, wondering what is really happening. But we've got to be just mindful of the words being used. And the one which I want to dismiss today and now is coup. There is no coup. This is not a coup. No one is trying to dispose of the present government, right? And that is what is crucial, right? Currently, as you said, Parliament is already in the longest running session since World War II, something which I mentioned earlier, and it just doesn't make sense. It needs to shut down now. But of course, one don't shut it down without having consultation and talking to the people, which is crucial and which is important, and it's very important to engage. But that's the reality, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now any questions or anything? I'd love to hear your views. I'll be sharing this. I'll put it back up as a what should I say, as a watch party as well. And yeah, so all the best and good night. And I hope you wish well, but take it easy and chill, right? We'll be leaving the European Union very soon, and it'll be well. I always say this, and my encouragement is this, because I voted Brexit, and I've always believed this very strongly. And anyone in business and motivational speakers and coaches and people know about these things. If you're going to step into a new atmosphere or you're going to do something new, you sometimes have to let go. Uncharted waters is not just about going into the deep and some unknown and demons and zombies, flesh-eating zombies going to come at you, but also it's going to have what I say, opportunities, uncharted opportunities, new opportunities, right? It's good when one can able to self-govern. It's very interesting, ladies and gentlemen, and this is very interesting because this is it. The UK, once supposed to be the superpower, but all the colonies, all the nations of the world, Great Britain is now somewhat trying to get their independence. That's why Nigel Farage said, when the vote came and the results came, and he said, hallelujah, or something like that, he said, we've got our Independence Day. Countries in the Caribbean sometimes say we're independent, but we are still not independent, right? And what they're trying to say is to break away from the clutches of the master or the massa, if anything. So in a way, the EU has now become the massa. Our tables have turned, right? And now the UK want to get away to actually do what they want to do by themselves. And it's not, and I don't believe it's about wanting to go on your own. I think it is wanting to have the ability to do what you want. And everybody likes to have that level of freedom to do what you want, right? And leaving the European Union is not leaving Europe. Leaving the European Union doesn't mean to say you cannot go to France. People from the States, Canada, all over the world still travel to Europe. Yeah, it's still normal. And I tell you what I believe is very interesting. And I was speaking to a gentleman today, just came from Jamaica, and he said he was really anti-Brexit. But after speaking to a few people since he came to the UK, he sort of seen some other aspect of it after speaking to different persons. I believe this is an opportunity for the Caribbean. I believe this is an opportunity for Commonwealth. I believe it's an opportunity for CARICOM, if one is smart enough, to actually tap into Brexit, into the opportunities that will come. Because there'll always be a falling off, I say. There'll always be a falling off where somehow someone is going to have a bad day or whatever like that, and so they can't deal with this, the level of insecurity, unsure what's happening. And then other persons will say, hang on, I like this. This fits my bill. This is what I really want to do. So therefore, where there is a fallout, something else will make it. And this is what change. I saw a post today about change, and it says change. I don't know what, but change, something like change is an opportunity to expand. Accepting change and opportunity to expand, right? And many times persons like to stay in the safety of the shores. My sister, she's not going to be on this now, but she might hear this. When we used to go to the sea, she normally just jump on the sand. Jump on the sand where the water comes up. You know what I'm saying? Staying on the safety of the bank, staying on the safety of the shore. But really and truly, in order to experience depth, one has got to go into the uttermost deep, go beyond where you cannot see anything more, and that's where you're going to see great and exciting things going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm SYLBOURNE, and I approve this post. Comment, the EU has a bit more to lose from a no-deal Brexit. Yes, someone just said, the EU definitely has a bit more to lose from a no-deal Brexit. Definitely, because they're not going to get this £39 billion. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, I must say this. The EU is somewhat becoming like it's somewhat becoming like a Titanic, and many people are saying the EU don't want, the UK don't want to go down with the EU. You need to also understand this, that the EU don't really want the UK to have a good deal. They wanted to make it really bad because they want to discourage other nations, other European Union members from wanting to do a Brexit equivalent. Now, so they don't want the UK to have a successful deal. But the UK have to persevere, even if it is a no deal. The UK contributes a lot to the European Union. A lot to the European Union, I must say. I kid you not, right? And the UK has more to gain than to lose, believe it or not. I want to say this, and before I go, there's a video which I see going around, and you might have seen it. It's a video saying the UK is a dump and Africa is a paradise. The UK is a dump and Africa is a paradise. And it's a lady saying, I think she's in Africa and she lives there now. Nice pictures of Africa, because Africa is great, you know. But she was putting down the UK so bad, so the UK is a dump and Africa is paradise. And I had to object to say, I'm not living in a dump, you know. You see, because where you live now, you got to have pride in where you live. And if you live in a dump, and people are accepting that she's saying that UK is a dump, and people in the UK are saying she's correct, how can you accept living in a dump? If I was to accept that I'm living in a dump, I'll go back to Jamaica or Honduras, right? So I'm not living in a dump. I just want to say that right there, because there's great potential in the UK. The UK can be a land of dream and opportunity, not just America, right? So I just want to set that stage out there, and to be positive, think big, and of course, as the law of success, make your decision, make it now, make it quick, and stick with it. And that's what the UK need to do to have success. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming on, and I'll see you around. Kunle, what are you saying? That means the EU budget will not ever balance. Germany and France cannot finance it without the UK. Their voters will never accept the added burden. Exactly. There's tons of money, which is sent to the European Union. Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in exciting times, and I'm happy with what is happening. It's exciting days. Thank you all for coming on tonight. Kathy, Tanisha, Tina, Kunle. Thank you, Tony. And those on Instagram, Sunny Hairstyle, Stacey Ann, all of those. And on YouTube as well. This will be uploaded live so you can watch it as well. And I hope this was helpful. And please let me get a feedback as well. And yeah, so peace out. All the best. Thank you so much. And I look forward to hearing from you. Yep. Kathy, bless you. And how is Jamaica today? Jamaica is great.